This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. I'm Scott Carson. Always excited to be here. Definitely excited today. It's a beautiful day here in Austin, Texas. For those that are watching live on Facebook, thank you. And those of you that are listening on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Music Play, thank you for listening. Make sure to leave a review and also share it with anybody that you might find or might think enjoy our episodes. Absolutely amazed at the amount of reviews we're getting and the downloads that we're getting our first 90 days. So just thank you again for listening. I wanted to make you aware of that we are very, very proud of our listening base. And if you have any questions or any comments, don't hesitate to reach out to us. But today I'm excited because we have a very special guest. You can see him here if you're watching the Facebook Live. My good buddy, George Antone. And George, if you don't know who George is, you better Google it really fast to find out, because this cat is the author of several best-selling books. You're up to 3 or 4 best-selling books now, right, George?
Correct, yeah.
And he also created the largest network of private investors across the country. What he's probably best known for right now, if you're in the real estate community, is the book, The Banker's Code, and The Banker's Code Revisited. But he is doing something amazing now, kind of switching gears, tweaking business like we often do, and literally spending his time learning how to hack different finance rules or rules of engagement, I like to say, that a lot of people don't know about. But anyway, George, thank you. Good morning. Thanks for joining us from the West Coast, brother.
Hey, man, how are you? It's my pleasure. It's my honor. It's always great spending time with you and chatting. I think you and I can chat for literally hours and hours and hours, but it's always fun. Yeah,
it was great catching up with you in Cincinnati at the Ohio area that Bean Jones Cox put on. Great event. Hanging out with you, John Burley, Damon Ramey, and a few of the other characters out there, Larry Jones, stuff like that. I'm the same thing. George, you and I could sit here and just visit and pick each other's brain and talk about stuff. And what I love, I think we realize we have a lot of the same characters. We both have big hearts, want to give a lot of information and help people. But we have got a lot of crossover with a lot of students that are out there doing things, whether it's buying notes or raising capital or putting some of the rules in engaging the rules of finance to help them really kind of raise more capital or retire earlier, make more money, right?
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? I hear are amazing things about you. So I'm always trying to compete with you and be better training, but it's always back and forth.
Yeah, that's right. I pay a lot out in referral fees, so that's the biggest thing. We bribe everybody. No, but I wanted to have you on here because you do such a great job of providing value and stuff like that. So why don't you share a little bit some of the things that you're working on right now, moving in, with only a month left in 2017 and then 2018 around the corner.
Scott, as you know, I've been training for a number of years now, more than 10 years. And one thing I found consistently is certain people sitting in my audience that just don't want to learn or don't want to spend the time to learn to invest. And that's fine. What I found, though, is that there are so many people out there. As you know, investing you have to be committed to it for a number of years to really master it, even though you can start relatively soon, but you have to spend and invest the time. And I found a lot of people that just want to enjoy life, and their whole question is, what are a few things I can do to leap forward financially without having to spend all this time learning to invest. And so I heard that way too many times. And then this one time, this one lady walked up to me at an event I was invited to speak at. And she asked me the weirdest question. She said, how can you build financial security without investing in stocks, mutual funds, real estates, all that stuff, without trading, without selling anything, without, and then I jokingly said, marry a rich person. Not that too. And she doesn't want to start a business. And honestly, I was dumbfounded. But then I started looking into it, and then I found this whole idea of you can, what I call hack finance, and I can explain why I call it that later. You can hack finance. You can do these small tweaks, a few hours a month, not a week, but a month, and tweak a few things, and then just sit back and let it work for you. And it has such a huge impact on most people's finances. So that has been so intriguing to me and so fascinating. As you know, I'm the biggest nerd, and I love tweaking with those things. And even though I love investing myself, but it doesn't mean it's for everyone. And so that's where I spend a lot of time. I have a lot of extremely smart people I have access to. We call ourselves financial nerds, and sometimes in a few weeks, I have a whole bunch of them coming to my office, and all we're going to do is nerd out on finance. So, man, you look like Clark Kent there.
I'm a little, they asked me if I could play the part of Superman, but they, couldn't do it. So, but I love the whole idea of the nerds aspect of it, being a finance nerd, because we like to call ourselves Newt Nerds over here. And that's one of the things that you and I both have such in common is our brains of always tweaking things or how to adjust things. I spend a lot of time in Excel spreadsheets and things like that, working on payment scenarios and workout strategies and things like that. And you said several good things, but I think one of the biggest things that I see that I think you struggle with, I struggle with, is how few people actually take action to accomplish anything. I mean, would you agree with that? I would say it's probably 10% or less of people actually will take time to do some things. I mean, and it's not necessarily they may be working too much or they may be chasing too many squirrels, be able to identify one. Would you agree to that?
That's exactly one of the problems I'm trying to solve is exactly that, because you're absolutely right. You have incredible information out there, but again, because people are just not cut out to wanting to do certain things, and they're looking for something much simpler. So they might not build as much wealth, but as long as we give them some guidance on here are some tweaks you can do that have this huge impact. And if they choose, or when they choose to start investing, whatever I talk about really enhances their returns, their yields. And so you're absolutely right. That's the biggest issue out there, is so few people out there follow the methods being shared, and it drives me nuts. And I know it drives you nuts.
Yeah. I think it drives every an educator nuts, because that's the frustrating thing. If you're teaching something, it's usually because you've put the things in place. You're first. You're walking the walk, not just talking the talk on some things like that. And it's always frustrating. It seems, especially in our neck of the woods, it seems a lot of people have closed on like 2 or 3 deals. Now they become educators because they're not following what they should do. Do you ever see that, George? You ever see that?
I know exactly what you mean.
But I think that's the biggest thing is, especially as we dive into the new year, everybody's worried about New Year's resolutions or what a failure this year was because I didn't get to what I needed to do. And the true definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. So what's a couple pointers that you would give people out there to have a better or more successful New Year's when they come to goal planning? I'm not talking about resolutions, because I'm not a big believer in waiting until the new year to start. I think everybody can start today, no matter what that day is. But what are a couple of suggestions you would give people when looking at trying to get more successful in the new year or now?
For finance, you mean, or just in general?
Both, whatever feels. Let's start with just general, and then one in finance.
Well,
I know. Well, these aren't scripted podcasts, everybody.
I'm a big believer right now of start doing something now. So one of the things I did, I'll give you an example so we just finished Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Thank you, you too, sir.
So during the weekend, what I started doing was getting rid of my VHS tapes. And what I started doing was I said, as a family, we got together, we're trying to do something fun. And so we're copying all these VHS to digital files and getting rid of the more stuff we can get rid of, the better you feel. But now you're moving, you have movement going on. And so the sooner you start doing something small, it has an incredible impact on keeping things moving. So just start something small. For us, it was getting rid of all the cassette tapes. I literally just threw them out, and I signed up for Apple Music, and I felt so good just getting rid of clutter. And now the VHS tapes, and we're doing that with CDs next. So that's the first thing I would say. Just start something small and just have movement, and you feel really good about it.
It's kind of like the whole, it's like the Marines idea of making your bed first thing in the morning, having success first thing on something. You've achieved something, and then you move on to something bigger. I think that's a lot of people are doing the whole purge thing right now, especially pulling out Christmas decorations, going up in the attic, and they're like the Chevy Chase and National Lampoons, opening up boxes of stuff and putting on the Amy Ant's hat and the shawls and the old videos. It's good to see that you're actually moving to the 21st century. Do I need to send you a DVD player or a Blu-ray player for you for Christmas? Or you still have that old VHS thing that you got?
I'm trying to skip through the whole thing, man. Just go straight digital.
No, yes, you probably found one of those. I found one of these the other day. A race car VHS rewinder. You put the thing in there to rewind it, return it to Blockbuster.
I'll tell you, it's so funny because we've had them there, and we have all these collections. I used to collect all these Disney movies on VHS. I literally have tons, and I have all the Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all that stuff. So I just told my wife, find someone in the next 48 hours and give them to this person, to whoever you find. And so now we're gonna just give away all these VHS tapes. We're like, I'm done with them. So
you could probably, if it's all the Disney stuff, it's probably got some value to it there, buddy. Yeah.
You know what? I'll just donate it.
There you go.
Donate them, and they can make the money.
There you go. Exactly. So moving forward, one little small thing, whether it's purging, getting stuff out of the way. Some people say I need to clean my office to purge, but I'm like, it's in controlled chaos here. But it's the same thing. Is if you don't use something in 6 months, get rid of it. One of the biggest things I can tell you in 2010, when I sold everything in Austin and started traveling for 3 years, it was a little depressing selling everything off. But within 6 months of me traveling, it was very liberating because I didn't have all that stuff kind of tying me down or pulling me down to a place. You know what I mean? The best analogy I've ever seen of this is have you ever watched Up in the Air, the movie with George Clooney and Anna Kendrick?
No.
You would love this because it's a guy who's a salesman for an insurance agency or something out in Nebraska who spends most of his time traveling the country, either speaking or doing layoff. Actually, it's a professional job layoffer. He goes up to companies and lays people off.
Okay.
He's all about the points, all about traveling, and he speaks part-time about a backpack. And think of all the things you own and put it in the backpack. Now, how heavy is that getting? How heavy is that couch or that mortgage payment or things like that? And if you can slice away a lot of the dead wood that we all have, we've got things that we're probably being charged for each month that we don't use anymore. God knows I have little technology things like that we have to clear up every 6 months. Files or properties or whatever it is, get rid of it and you'll feel a lot happier. I mean, I know I got a buddy of mine who's got some note deals that he's just getting rid of. He's just like, this is not worth my time. I'm just going to sell it and break even lose a little bit of money. It's peace of mind at that point.
Yep. You're saying something that I'm such a huge advocate of, which is you have to put a value to peace of mind. A lot of people look at numbers, and numbers are really important, and we both like to look at numbers. However, you also have to put a value to peace of mind, and then you have to compare them, because if, let's just say, something is yielding 10%, but it's having so much stress on you, financial stress or some other stress on your mind, ask yourself, what's peace of mind? And to me, peace of mind is significantly more than 10%. So I would get rid of that to have peace of mind. So you have to put value to peace of mind. Very, very, very important.
Yeah. Being able to sleep at night goes a long way.
Yep. I call it the pillow effect. So can you put your head on the pillow and sleep well? And that's so critical.
Yeah, it's totally huge to that, especially when you're teaching a lot, traveling a lot like you and me, man. What are some goals or things that you've got planned for the new year for you, bud?
So I'm looking to doing some more. I'm all about impact and helping, giving back to the community, and I'm always looking for different ideas to um, have a positive impact. I've already done some amazing things this year, and I'm working on some really new things that I'm going to keep secret for now for this coming year. But they're all to do with impacting not just my community, but nationwide, helping certain students have bigger impact. A lot of things to do with veterans and things like this. And I'm so passionate about this because at the end of the day, to me, significance is the ultimate thing. Is being able to give back, change lives, all that stuff. So to me, that's what drives me. And so I'm looking at certain projects to focus on within that. How about you?
I echo a lot of stuff. It's all about we get a big kick out of the lives that we change and helping people. Like I got an email from my friend Gail Greenberg, who is a investor out of Philadelphia. One of her biggest goals is to get to $10,000 a month in cash flow to cover her bills and to live what she wants to live. And she's got to this point in the last year. She's at like $77,000 a month, which is great, just off of recurring mortgage payments. Okay. So she's 70% of the way to her goal, which she thought would take longer than 2 years. Well, she'll hit that probably by the middle of the year, but she's always wanted to be a big advocate into helping out, donating money, donating causes. And I'm always been the proponent, like, well, you don't have to necessarily wait until then. Hey, you can start putting 10% of what your profits are, tithing, yourself, besides paying yourself first, I think, which you and I both believe in is an important thing, putting money away, but also making your profits, go ahead and building that into your structure to do stuff like that. I mean, we got some big things. We're obviously a big advocate for the military, past and present.
I have to say something. You said something so powerful, and I want to really expand on that. And I know we're talking about different things here, but to me, that's what I tell people, more important than actually giving money is enrolling people into a bigger vision. Because even if you give $1,000, $500, it doesn't, all that's good. But what I want to encourage people to do is learn how to enroll people into something bigger and get them involved. And I was watching 60 Minutes. Did you watch the 60 Minutes about the gentleman that owns like 30 restaurants and went to Puerto Rico to help feed?
Yes. He made 40,000 meals over Thanksgiving weekend, something like that. It was amazing.
And so far, they've served 3 million meals.
Wow.
And to me, here's what's interesting about the whole story is that he went there. He didn't know what was going on. He just went there because he felt he had to go there. And the biggest lesson, if you watch it, is he enrolled the locals into a bigger vision, because he said, I got there. Everyone kept saying there's no food, there's no food, there's no food, there's no food. But it turns out they had the chefs, they had the kitchen, they had the food, they had the different ingredients. Everything was there. They just didn't have the conductor, right? And so he sold them on the vision of let's actually all get together. So he found the kitchen, got everyone. And if you notice in the video clips, he's just walking around, singing, telling everyone, and he's actually enrolled them into a possibility. And to me, that's one of the things I love to do with my students is tell them, look, giving is great. Enrolling something into a bigger vision is so much bigger. And you just have to learn how to do that. And that's one of the things that I have my inner circle is not just investing, but enrolling people in the community into something bigger, a bigger possibility. And some of the stories I'm hearing and we're seeing are incredible.
And that's what it's all about, because it's not just about what we can do, but if you can inspire people to do other things or come together. Because I think a lot of people, they get so short-sighted. Oh, I can only do this. But if you put a lot of short-sighted people together, it becomes a bigger vision. And sometimes people just need somebody to come in and be a manager, or see where the disconnect is in putting those people together to make things happen. And it's amazing because two people together can do so much more than two people individually.
So true. And I'll tell you, that's part of the reason I wanted to do this, the hacking finance, is because I really wanted them to focus less on finance, so they know that they're building wealth. They don't have to worry about that, and they can focus on significance and impact and all that. So to me, I'm seeing more and more of that now, and they're spending less time having to worry about day-to-day finances. And my promise to them is allocate 6 hours per month in as little as 30-minute increments, and for your finances. That's it. I mean, that's a good per month, not per week, per month. So, I'll show you what to do. Just focus on impact. So it's been going incredible. But yeah.
And for those that don't know, George, you transition more from the capital raise to these finance hacks for the last year. And I'll tell you this, first time I heard you talk about it, I just feel the passion coming out of your pores. You were so excited, like a kid in a candy jar, a kid at Christmas trying to describe what they got to keep bouncing back and forth. But being an ex-banker and financial advisor, I loved it because I was like, oh, you're totally right. Here's a little thing about a Swift accounts and moving some things around. It takes literally like 10 minutes a month or 30 minutes a month. But it's so impactful when you do it because you're using the banks and other institutional rules that they don't get paid to promote, but there's things that those professionals can have happen to them that makes thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference over the long run to your bottom line by just tweaking a few little things, right?
Yep. In fact, I think I told you the story, but a lady contacted me recently who was very skeptical but followed what I was teaching, and she said in less than 24 months she's made $50,000 without much work. So just with a few tweaks, $50,000 tax free. Okay, that's
Wow.
incredible if you think about it. And the reason it's very different way of thinking. It's not simple way of thinking about it. So one of the biggest issues I find with a lot of people out there, personal finance people, is they say, put this much money every month, and after a gazillion years, you're going to have this much money. Well, you know what? They haven't considered inflation. They haven't considered taxes. They haven't included. It's all, on paper. It works, but they haven't considered so many things about it, and opportunity costs and all this stuff. And these things cost more than just you can't just disregard them. So people have to know. So the way of thinking is so different, and that's the challenge I find is once they get over the way of thinking, these are simple to implement, but like you're saying, you have to think like a banker, and you're using the banker's strategies against them and against the financial system. So so I'm like this little kid in a candy store, hacking different finances here.
Well, I think a lot of that goes into the fact too that a lot of people don't understand basic financial. I mean, we're one of the, as smart as we are and as wealthy as the United States here, we're one of the least financially educated societies out there for as much as we have available. I mean, it starts in the high schools, the junior highs and things like that. But the first time I saw the rule of 72, and utilizing that, and then adding in, okay, what's my growth? What's inflation? Figuring your tax brackets. It's not a simple, you get 2% and then you retire in 40 years aspect of things.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things you can do now with little to no funds to get things rocking and rolling and get to a much better place down the road.
Yep. Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
And I love what you're doing too, is you're only doing a thing where you up to 1,000 people, where you're working with 1,000 dedicated people to really kind of focus on something. And you've almost got to that point now in the last, 8 months, 9 months of adding people to it.
Yep. And what happened is a lot of people just started sharing it with their friends and family. And next thing you know, we just went,
Mm-hmm.
We have 1,000 members, just under 1,000 members now, what we call charter members. And they're crushing it. And the results have been incredible. Now we have a lot of those tweaks, what we call tweaks, that are the ones I'm talking about, 6 hours or less per month. That's how it longs to implement one tweak at a time. So people have implemented 2 or 3 and have already seen significant result, and we have tons and tons and tons of them. They're like, wow, this is real. In fact, one person said in his first 2 weeks, he implemented one strategy, and it's already paid up way more than the cost of the membership, the investment for the membership. And they're like, this is incredible. And everything's based on spreadsheets and math, because I am such a skeptical person. When someone makes a claim on, you can make all this money, let me see the spreadsheets. And that's one thing that you and I have in common, is we like to show the spreadsheet so people see it's real. And but we come from a very skeptical perspective, so it's really important for us, for people to understand the numbers. And so that's fascinating to see that.
It is. I totally agree with you on that. I'm looking for the book you sent me not too long ago. It was a really valuable tool. It kept tweak some things on it. Where is it at here? I finished reading it in like a weekend. It was so valuable to me. Was it Cash Flow's King, right?
Profit First, or
Profit First. That's it. That's it. Yes. It is such a great. Where is it? I must have it at the house. Oh, nope, it's right here. There we go. This, I have to say thank you to.
You're welcome.
One of the best books that I have read in the last couple of years. It's so valuable. We do a book club, and we're launching this kind of, actually December 1st, we'll have the first review, which our first book is How to Set Up Your Business for Less Than a Grand by my buddy Dan Fleischman, who's a professional poker player. Really good, easy book to read, but so valuable. We're actually going to make this the second book to discuss about, because I think it's so valuable as entrepreneurs to read this stuff, to identify those things. And if you take this in consideration, along with financing hacks, it sets yourself up to make things really skyrocket and go far.
Yeah, I want to say something about that book. It really helped me so much. In fact, I sent it to a whole bunch of people that are close to me, and they're all raving about it. It simplifies your accounting and because one of the biggest problems with business owners is managing their accounting. And look, we as entrepreneurs, we have so much more to worry about, and this simplifies things so much. And in fact, it's increased my margins significantly in my business, and it's simplified my life, simplified everything up here when it comes to accounting. And it's a great book, Profit First. Make sure you get the second edition.
I actually was looking for that the other night when I was at. I like to buy books at half price books, because that way, if I buy them, then I just read them and I give a lot of them away. But this one, whenever I get a brand new one from somebody, I hold on to it. I'm a big fan of it. But yeah, I saw the second one was out for. I haven't read that one yet. But it's
actually the second one. Oh wait. So there's another one after this?
I thought you just said that. I thought there was another one.
This is the second one. This is the first one. Has a piggy bank, I think, or something like that on the cover. I'm trying to remember.
That's okay. That's what I'm talking about. There's another one that I didn't know which one came first. Yeah. I thought the Profit First came first, but then to the piggy bank. But the author is Mike McCallowitz out there for Profit
Great
First.
Guy. Very funny, very, very funny guy.
Makes it a very enjoyable read versus something that's very boring. Because when you talk about accounting, a lot of entrepreneurs, they just close. Yeah. I will tell you, I agree with that aspect. Accounting is often the last thing you want to spend time diving into, because as entrepreneurs, if you've ever read the E-Myth, we're having to juggle 3 things most of the time, and accounting falls in that one thing of having to go back and reconcile everything.
Yep.
In customer service and stuff like that. But so important if you can. I don't know if you've ever met my buddy Aaron Young with Laughlin Associates.
I've never
met Aaron. Huh?
I've never met him. No.
We talked about this. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Yeah. But Aaron actually does a lot of talking about accounting and the things that they do with their books and stuff like that. And I love this so much, I sent him the book. Yeah. So he's an advocate of you, whether he doesn't even know you yet.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see here. Question. Okay, so Nicole is doing a great job. Thanks, Nicole, for uploading both the Banker's Code and Profit First there in the Facebook Live. You can get it on Amazon, everybody. We got a question from Todd Lee. Todd asked a question, more so in owner finance notes. Todd, we'll get to that later on. We'll stay on track here because we're not really talking about that right now. But George, you've done quite a bit of different real estate stuff. Why don't you talk a little about some of your background in real estate and investing, that kind of stuff as well?
So I first started with, I used to be in high tech, and 2001, I decided to walk away from an incredible career in high tech. I really wanted to have sort of the lifestyle that I wanted to have. So 2001, I started getting into investing. I invested in first single family homes, then apartment buildings, and did a lot of apartment buildings, and then started running a small fund for private money lending. I did a lot of private money lending, and I've raised millions and millions of dollars for different ventures, not just real estate, but outside of real estate as well. Funded businesses, and I still do that, and I love raising money. So I've done so many different things, from commercial real estate, um, uh, single family homes, lending. I've also bought some notes. I used to buy non-performing seconds, and I would contact the first, and you guys all know that by now with Scott's training. And so that's an incredible, the whole business of real estate is fascinating. And so that's what my background is. And now, going into more, I'm realizing that not everyone wants to buy 100 single family homes or 100 properties or whatever it is. So that's why I'm going into, how do you tweak your finances so that you have the maximum impact on your wealth without a lot of the stress and without having to invest so many years in mastering this. So it's a whole new paradigm of building wealth that I'm fascinated in. So I normally tell people, when it comes to investing and building wealth, there are three main buckets, if you will, other than entrepreneurship. So investing, trading, and what's out there is living, very frugally. So the three main buckets that people associate with, and everything fits in one of those three buckets. Well, every single one of them is a commitment for life, because you have to learn so much. But what I'm talking about is a new bucket here, a whole new paradigm on hacking finance. And it turns out that it's something that you can do relatively quick. It's a low risk, and it enhances any other investing you might be doing. And it actually fits so well with note investing, because I'm a huge advocate of note investing. But anyway, so that's my background.
Yeah, you definitely have shaped a lot of people over the last few years with raising capital and funds, and people using that money for mezzanine financing or firsts or seconds and things like that. It's amazing. That's why we get along. So we have a lot of the same philosophies and things like that, and crossover students to doing some things. But if if there is, and I love where we've gone. We've been all over the place, which is good. We've talked about kind of hacking finance. We've talked about goals for the year. Talk about great book, Profit First there. What is, I'm going to throw a little Hail Mary here a little bit. What's your goal? What's your ultimate, somebody asked me this, what's your ultimate thing that drives you on a daily basis?
What drives me, you know what? I'm going to, 3 words: cracking the code. Cracking the code. And here's what I mean by that is have you seen The Matrix, the movie The Matrix?
Oh, yeah.
So I know, mathematically speaking, but we live in a financial matrix, and I'm always looking at how do we crack the code for people and helping them. So literally what I do for fun, one of the things I do for fun is I hang out with a lot of nerds like myself, and we try to figure out new things. And these are people that have been associated with top 50 companies in the world, and there have been finance people, directors, CFOs, and that's what we talk about for fun, is like, how do we go about cracking? So we're always talking about really fascinating things. And so to me, the reason I do that is because I know that if everyone lives in the mindset of impacting their communities and impacting the world, and they don't have to worry about their finances because their finances are tweaked in the right way, they can do so much more in life, because finances themselves don't make you happy necessarily, but being able to be of significance and impacting is so much more fun when you don't have to worry about your finances. So that to me is, I choose to help solve that problem of the financing, because I want people to step into their greatness. And that's what really keeps me going every day. That's my thing. How about you, Scott?
I love the fact that I love cash flow. I'm not going to lie about that. I love the idea of being able to do what I want to do, and helping people do that. If anybody's ever worked in a job that they hated, I think that was my biggest driving factor, is trying to help people free themselves. My dad was an entrepreneur, may have struggled as an entrepreneur, but he did things that he wanted to do, which is great. And so I have that driving factor that kind of keeps me up, raised in an entrepreneurial family, had owned the local hardware store for about 15, 20 years, and built something out of really nothing. And then, then his health failed, as he got older with diabetes and stuff like that. So those are the two biggest things that kind of drive me, especially right now. I'm 40. My dad was I was born when my dad turned 40. Okay. And then my dad was diagnosed with diabetes at 48. And I see, my mom says I'm a spitting image of my father, my hands and my feet, my legs and things like that, hereditary stuff. But it's a big thing seeing the troubles, not the financial troubles, the health problems my father had later in life, because he didn't really take care of himself because he's a workaholic. That's a big thing that kind of rides on me right now, because I'm, wanting to get back down. I know God made me special, but to the point where I want to get my health back good, and then also helping people overcome and get out of the jobs that they hated. Because if you've ever worked in a job that you hated, or had a boss you hated, or something you hated, getting up in the morning and driving to somebody else's dream, is not what I ever intended for myself. And that's one of the biggest things that I strive for on a daily basis. Like, get up, come to the office, let's see who we can help today. Who can we help hack finances, or help hack the job, or hack their lifestyle so they can do what they want? Because it's, you and I do a lot of fun, cool things in our travels and going places and speaking and seeing so many individual people on a one-on-one basis as we're out talking and seeing lives get changed. And we know it's possible to do it. It's just our people will take the simple steps, or they will let go of that railing that a lot of people hold on to, scared. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's my biggest goal. Is, hey, let's help people step away from that railing and let go. You're not going to fall on your face. It's impossible to fall on your face and take a backward step.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. I love that freedom. Freedom summarizes everything you just said, and I love that it's so powerful. It's so powerful, and I can totally relate to that. I think that's the part that people. Freedom is much more important than being rich. Mm-hmm. And stress that enough. And having the cash flow, like you're talking about, Scott, gives you the freedom, because then you don't have to worry about a job. You don't have to worry about your finances. And there's something that happens once you get to that point. I tell people, every cell in your body reprograms somehow, and suddenly you see some amazing possibilities, but it's so hard to see them when you don't have that freedom. So being free of a job and finances is so powerful because of that. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I see that a lot in students and people out there that I've met them when they were working at a job, and then when they were able to leave their job to do what they want to do, it's just an overwhelming brightness. Their whole disposition changes. We got a buddy, Gabe Cass, who's at what's this company, Surf City Investments. Does a lot of first, does also a bunch of seconds. He was a financial analyst and other things. And he just was, it was just like this negative energy when he'd come into a room or sit down and listen. He just always looked gruff. And then he left his job about, I think 2 years ago now. Every time I see him, he's just like bouncing around. He's just smiling and the healthier and loving life and enjoying doing what he wants. He had just celebrating his 1 year anniversary, or his 1 year birthday of his daughter just recently. And it's just great to see that kind of stuff with people. And that's what gets me so excited. That's the things that I get more joy about. And we love celebrating those victories for people. Students that are closing their first deal, or, I'm not one of these guys, and I know you're the same thing. Oh, you didn't do it exactly through me. Oh, I'm not going to talk about you. No, you did something great.
Yeah.
Took initiative to make things happen,
Yeah.
Now let's take it a different way.
Okay.
Any troubles, any things you've tripped up on, stubbed your toe on, banged your shin against the wall in business in the last few years that has troubled you, but you've overcome it to be a stronger individual.
Yes, I'll tell you a huge lesson for me, and that's just for me. It doesn't apply to, maybe a lot of people, but what happened in the last few years, our company was growing so much, and our overhead was also growing. And so we got to a point where we're generating so much revenue, but our overhead also was pretty high, and the stress level went up. And I noticed that in this year, I lowered our overhead significantly, and I'll just give you some numbers: 360,000 a month down to 50,000 a month, and we had to change a lot of things, but we're more profitable. We're all happier. We don't have the overhead, the stress, because the beginning of every month we would look at this mountain of overhead, and we're like, okay, we have to crack that number every month. And now it's like, I don't care. There's so much reserves. There's so much. Everything is just, we're in such a better place, and we're just happier. And one of the things that occurred to me is that as entrepreneurs, we're always thinking, we're going to grow the business, we're going to grow the business, we're going to grow the business. And I realized, screw that. I am so much happier. A smaller team and less overhead. And so I realized that the overhead has a lot to do with your happiness, which is really crazy. But if the intention is to sell the business in the future, that's a different thing. I love what I do. I don't want to sell ever. And I just love what I do. And we're making more money than ever before. We're more profitable, I should say, than ever before. Even when we were generating 8 figures, so what? Now we're generating 7 figures, 1 to 7 figures per year. And you know what? I'm happier than ever, and I don't have to worry about overhead. I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. I mean, we have very little overhead. 50,000 is nothing per month. And so to me, the biggest lesson was this whole idea of building a huge business that's generating 20, 30, 40 million dollars it comes with stress. And so that's been the biggest lesson for me. And I see the world of entrepreneurship very differently now with this lesson.
It's a huge lesson. I think a lot of people think is, oh, I got to do more, and more is not always best. More is not always more. I had a coach of mine, a mentor of mine early on, tell me to avoid the big offices, avoid the big high-rise offices with the huge rents. Just because you can afford it doesn't mean you need it. Because when you have a huge overhead and huge staff, and you become a huge babysitter a lot of the time, and you're not able to focus on things. And a lot of times, yeah, you have that big revenue, but then you've got to have that big overhead, and it doesn't always equate to profitability. So totally agree to that. Been through that myself over the years and stuff like that too. I think the biggest thing is partners. I think is a thing. I know you've had partners on, and then I think you're happier now being kind of your own guy to knock things out and control things. I've done that. We often we'll partner up with that person. They'll be just as passionate as I am, and that's not the case 99% of the time, right, George?
100%. Right. That has been a big lesson. You can joint venture with people, but not necessarily be partners in the same business. So joint venturing, I think, is actually a lot of fun, and you get to support each other, but they're separate businesses. And so there's a big difference between joint ventures for people out there and being partners in the same business. Yeah, that's been a big lesson for me, Scott. Absolutely biggest lesson, which is reconsider having a partner and think about joint ventures more than partners.
I would agree to that, because the joint venture is easy to be in and out of. Partnerships is a lot more mess going along with it. And a lot of people partner up initially because the fact is they don't feel like they're strong at one thing. Oh, I'm going to partner up with somebody who's strong at that one thing that I'm weak at. Look, you don't have to do that. There's plenty of vendors out there that can help provide that short-term fix to help you get that over the hump thing, or whether it's marketing or accounting or sales, things like that. There's a lot of great vendors out there to help provide things. I know George could give a shout out for referrals. I know you do for, we've had those conversations. Who do you use for that, and vice versa, going back and forth to help things done,
Yep, exactly.
One of the things that I love that you're doing too in the last year, I'm very proud of what you've done, is you're doing more of the online stuff and less of the travel stuff too. Big change for you, right?
Thanks to you. And I want to expand on that. One of the things that, we get set in our comfort zone, and the comfort zone is whatever's in here. And to step out of that comfort zone is always challenging, especially for an entrepreneur, because you have things working. And, one of the things that really I'm always looking for is how do I grow, and who has done it so I can really leverage off of their experience. And Scott, you've been a huge influence in helping me move out of that comfort zone of doing things offline and moving online. And it has done so much for me, thanks to you, buddy. And I really appreciate you for that. And you've pushed me to the point where I kid you not, I want to just share this story really quick. In November of last year, 2016, I was sitting in my office and with someone, and I drew a big circle that says, this is old company. This is where I am right now. And what do I want my life to look like? Nuco. I call it Nuco. And I started with this crazy idea of here's what I want in a perfect world. And you had so much to do with it. And a lot of the strategies I'm learning now of simplifying my life as an entrepreneur came straight from you. And I want to thank you for that. So, and really not just the strategy, but also the inspiration. So, and today, so it took me 4 or 5 months of making very, 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 very hard decisions. And that's the bridge between where I was to where I am today, was called hard decisions. Mm-hmm. That's what it boils down to. But I had to make hard decisions, and I surrounded myself with the right people, in this case, you and a number of people, and they helped me cross that bridge. And so I am today where I am, and very happy because of people like you.
I couldn't say more the same thing with you, George. I've learned a lot from you over the last couple of years, and applied strategies, and it's helped out tremendously. So I think a lot of people don't realize that that's the most successful people are the most approachable, the most giving of success, whether it's you and me back and forth because we're friends. But there's a lot of people. I mean, we want people to succeed. We don't want people to make the same mistakes that we've made. Yep. I talked to several speakers when I was in Cincinnati there, and they're like, "Oh, we got to do something different with what we're doing." And I think we get stuck in that rut of doing business as normal versus doing something new. Yep. And yes, I call it the philosophy of unfinished bridges. We're here where we're at. We want to get over here, and there's this chasm in between. And the unknowing of what it's going to take to get to there is what scares us. And a lot of times we'll start something, get halfway through and not finish it, and go back and start something over because we don't see it completely. And if you can complete one thing and get it done, it becomes that much easier to go back and forth. It's a business system now. It's working. You're doing that a lot with your this technology we're using right now, Zoom. You were talking about that yesterday when we visited for a few minutes, and how you've gotten better at it, and we get better at it every time we do something with it. It's just consistency of doing things on a regular basis. It may be a little nervous, but I'm glad that you shared that because everybody deals with that.
Yep.
We're not experts at everything we touch immediately. We all struggle with implementing things or going back and making sure everything is working properly, or dealing with overhead, or dealing with employee, or dealing with other things.
Yep.
It's a normal facet of life. And I think once you realize that everybody struggles with it, you have much more rewarding conversations versus trying to hide something, right?
Yep. And I'll just tell you, the surrounding yourself, and I can't stress this enough, surrounding yourself with the right people that are doing the things you want to do. So going back to the Zoom, you and I had breakfast together in Ohio, and you told me, George, get your ass to using Zoom. And what I did was, and these were almost your exact words, and so I literally spent so much time on YouTube learning how to use Zoom, and that's just one of many examples. But you're so right. You're so right. You have to push yourself out of the comfort zone, and thank God for things like YouTube and the help of the right people, you can do some amazing stuff.
Yeah, and not have a slip up on anything. That's the thing. And often I'll look back an example, like I track. I'm a numbers guy like you are. I track, okay, opt-ins. I trapped in cost per leads. I mean, we talked about that for hours in Cincinnati too, about stuff like that. And I look back at what we've done with these webinars, and a lot of people told us initially, "Oh, this is not going to work. It's going to fail because it's not going to work." It's not the same way of doing business. We've done it like this for years. And I looked back last night on my numbers, and so like we had right at 200 people that were RSVP'd for the webinar, which is great. But initially in the hour and a half, we had 270 people literally watch the webinar or join in via Facebook, okay, which a lot of people are doing this right now. When I looked this morning, right before I logged on to Zoom, we had over 400 people had watched that.
Wow.
Which is crazy, because that's another 130 people between 9 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock this morning, the late night hours of stuff like that. So it's those are that's 400 people that wouldn't have hit if I would have done business the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
It's getting the word out and stuff like that. And I think that's where 2018 is going for a lot of people. The bigger you can communicate, the more people you can touch, the more lives you're going to change, and obviously the more profitable you're going to be by helping more people. And a lot of people, especially I think on the education, the guru side, they have an inward-looking model where I've got to control everything, I have to do everything, I can't give anything out or can't communicate anything out because I'm going to lose control. And sometimes giving up control is the best, and you never know what's going to happen. I know you've had some really great successes doing some things in just the last 12 months, and I'm very proud of it. You're looking good. You're doing some amazing things. You're more profitable, less stress, having more fun ultimately, right, brother?
Absolutely. Fun, freedom, what's the other? Finances. So family too.
Fun and freedom with finances. There you go. I'll let you use that 3 times. All right. I think we can create Nicole is listening in the other room. Fun and freedom and finances. I think we need to create an infographic for that.
And family too. Family.
Oh, we can't forget family. Exactly.
Faith. And faith. There you go.
Faith. Oh, the 5 F's. I like it. Well, we use find, fun, flip. Find, fun, flow. Find, fun, flip, fix, and flow. There you go. The other 5. Couple marketing ideas for everybody there right now on the Nut Closers podcast. So, hey, George, I want to thank you so much. And we're coming up here on roughly about an hour here. So I want to first of all say thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We could sit here and talk for hours, but I know you've got a lot to do, and I got a lot to do. I got to knock out here shortly too. But want to thank you again for joining us here, guys. Your website is you want to give them your website and best way to get a hold of your company, things like that.
Fynanc, Fynanc.com. Again, there's no E in the end. It's Fynanc, F-Y, not I, but Y, Fynanc.com. Check it out. And we're super excited about what we're doing there. And Scott, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on this podcast. And it's always fun being with you and chatting with you. And so thanks again for being here. Thanks for being an amazing person, dude.
Hey, you too, brother. Thanks so much for sharing. Thanks for having an open heart and open dialogue and just sharing. Hey, these are normal conversations we have all the time, just talking about what's going on in life and, sharing and how can we help fix things and literally help solve each other's problems. It's like we're a good, evil hero trying to help the world, but with world domination, right? And with that, we'll wrap it up for today's show, everybody. So once again, check out George and some of the amazing finance hacks he's doing at Fynanc.com. It's Fyanc.com. There's no E on the end of finance, and finance spelled with a Y. But George, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do in helping, and we'll look forward to seeing what 2018 has in store for you as well with everybody else there. All right, bud?
Excellent. Take care. Thanks again.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a great day. Go out and make something happen, and we'll see you all at the